안녕하세요 여러분, Shana입니다. Hello, this is Shana here. So today I'll be sharing some tips on how to prepare for the TOPIK exam. I have taken TOPIK for 5 times since I started learning Korean in 2008. Okay, so today I will be sharing tips on the reading section first because that is the section where I have the most confidence in. So yeah, let's go! So reading section, 50 questions in 70 minutes. Mathematically it looks okay, but when you really get down to doing it, I still remember how when I first took the TOPIK exam in 2009, I came out of the exam hall feeling super drained. It's like, I felt like I ran a marathon. Okay, maybe I wouldn't know how it feels like because I've never done it. But anyway, it's super like membung sangte. It was like really bad. Yeah, so it's really tiring, but there are some tips that can help you tackle the section more effectively and to prepare for it more effectively. So when it comes to the reading section, I think there are 2 things that you have to work on. So one is the reading stamina and the other one is building the vocabulary bank. So when it comes to building the vocabulary bank, there are no shortcuts, no hacks to it. You just have to read widely and consistently. Okay, so reading widely is obvious. You have to read both in fiction and non-fiction, and personally I read anything under the sun that is in Korean. There are still some tips that can help you better remember vocabulary, and one of them is to read by themes. Okay, so that is my preference because I don't memorize any vocabulary. I don't use flashcards. I don't use any form of memory aids. So what I do is to read consistently and by themes. So what I mean is that, for example, one week you could focus on a particular topic, let's say on clean energy. So what I would do is that I would find online news articles on clean energy and I will read them sort of exclusively for that particular week or a couple of days. And after you read a couple of related articles, you will find that actually the kind of phrases or words that appear in those articles are rather similar. Yeah, so after coming across the same word a couple of times and maybe searching the dictionary a few times for that same word, you will remember it quite naturally. Yeah, so that is how I actually built my vocabulary bank without doing those like deliberate memorization. Yeah. Okay, so the second thing is reading stamina. Okay, so when it comes to reading stamina, I feel that it's divided into 3 parts. One is reading concentration, the second one is reading speed, and the last one is your scanning ability. Okay, so when it comes to reading concentration and reading speed, the only way to improve is to keep reading consistently. So what I would do is that I would kind of force myself to read longer and longer articles each time. So when you first started out, obviously after like maybe one short passage and you're just like enough, I had enough. Yeah, I think it's very normal. So when I started out, I also tired out very easily when I read in Korean, but there's just no choice, so you just have to try to sit yourself down for maybe 15 minutes, and after a while you will get used to, hey, 15 minutes is actually quite comfortable, and then you increase it to 20-30 minutes and so on, and after a while and then you realize that, hey, I can actually read one chapter without feeling that tired anymore. Okay, so then that's when you know your reading concentration and your reading speed would have increased. Yeah, so when it comes to reading speed, it's kind of linked to concentration, but another way of doing it is to do time papers. So when it comes to TOPIK practice exams, I would, like TOPIK practice papers, I would suggest that you stick to 70 minutes. Okay, so time yourself, one sitting, just do it. You will come out of it really exhausted, but you will realize that after doing several papers, your reading speed would have actually increased. So the last ability is scanning ability, and I think that is something that I also am working on at this point. So when it comes to a text in your native language, it's very easy to just take a quick glance and then figure out, hey, is that something I'm looking for, is the information I'm looking for inside? and that it's something that is very difficult in a foreign language, because I feel that, at least personally, I tend to want to read word by word by word to really understand what the article is about. So one way to train it is maybe to do research in Korean. Yeah, to do research in a particular topic in Korean. So I think I had the opportunity to do some research in Korean under time circumstances. Like, I have to look up for some information within like half an hour. So there was no choice. I just had to go online, go and Google search, type in some keywords, and then scan through the articles and then see, oh, is that something I'm looking for? Nope. Okay, next article. Okay, hey, that's something that I think I can use, and then I'll keep it, and afterwards I'll read it in a little bit more detail. Yep, so if you do research and then you realize that you don't have the luxury of time to really read every article word by word, you just have to first decide whether is that article potentially useful, and yes, you keep it. If not, then you just have to discard it. So I think through that process, your scanning ability will improve. Okay, so here are some general tips when it comes to tackling the section during the real exam. So I have about 5 tips. Okay, so the first one is to do the paper in chronological order. Yes, I don't know about you, but personally, I always do my exam papers in chronological order. Firstly, because I am very scared that I'll miss out some pages if I end up skipping section to section. And the second thing is that I always believe that the papers are set in a particular way. So in the case of topic, the easiest questions are at the front. So I think you should just get it over and done with before you do the difficult ones. Okay, so I think some people, they like to do the difficult questions first because maybe their concentration is higher at the start of the paper. But I don't really think that's a good idea, because for example, if you're an intermediate learner, the questions at the back can be really difficult for you at that particular point, and if you spend too much time on it, it's not going to help. In the end, you will feel very demoralized, and you may not even score well for the easier questions, which you could have done well. Yep, so I don't recommend that. And the second tip I have is, personally, is that when in doubt, I always skip and come back to it later. It works if you manage your time well, but it all depends, because sometimes when it comes to intermediate learners, the strategy is to do well at the start of the paper, like maybe the first 40 questions. So instead of trying to spend time on the last 10 questions, which it may be really too difficult for you, why not just focus on the first 40 and then to do them well? Okay, so that's a tip that I have. Okay, so the next tip is to always read the whole text. Okay, so sometimes I feel that there's a tendency for test takers to only read part of the passage and then think that they actually get the whole gist already. I feel that that is not the right way to go. So sometimes even in questions where it's for example, fill in the blank, and the blank appears at the first 2 sentences of the passage, you should still read the whole passage, because there might be some surprises, and if you don't read the whole passage, you may not actually catch some of the nuances or something like this. Next tip I have is to read all the options. Okay, I know that time is a very precious commodity in taking the TOPIK exam, but please just read and scan through all 4 options, because sometimes if you don't do that, you may actually miss out the correct option. So personally, I try to read all the options. So now for the section specific tips I have for topic preparation. Okay, so let me leave the salamander aside. Okay, so when it comes to the first part, it's actually grammar, testing your grammar knowledge, and I have a couple of books that I would really recommend. Okay, so these are the books that I would really recommend to for Korean grammar. You don't have to get them all, just choose like maybe one that you like. Okay, so the reviews are all on my blog, so you can read them on hangukdrama.com. The next section is actually on graph or banner reading comprehension. So well, a lot of textbooks tend not to focus on graphs or whatnot, but I think you can actually Google for things like TOPIK and 행사 안내. Okay, so when you try to Google image all this, you actually have a lot of practice materials that you can use. So be creative about how you learn. There are a couple of questions in the topic reading paper that tests your ability to read news headlines. So how I practice is that I will use one of those news apps. I like reading Yonhap News, and I will scroll through the headlines and I will only read the headlines. Okay, so that is a way for you to practice. Then you can search up some of the new words that you don't know and then to jot them in your vocabulary notebook. Okay, so as I mentioned previously, when it comes to improving your reading abilities, you have to read widely. And there are so many free articles online, news articles, blogs, etc. So use them. Okay, but if you are looking for really specific reading related textbooks, I have two that I would recommend. So first is the Yonsei reading series. I have the highest level one, the book 6, which I did review on my blog too. And the second one, if you are looking for articles and more academic reading, this is a really good one too. It's published also by Yonsei. I feel that their reading textbooks are really quite good, and I also reviewed it on my blog, so check it out. Okay, so thanks for watching, and if you liked the video, please give me a like, a subscribe, and also leave me a comment. See you. Bye bye.